My name is Carlos Caloni. Our headlines this hour. Government paid over 300 million Ghana cedi in judgment debt between 2017 and 2020. Apparently, government is drowned in over 14 trillion cedis judgment debt. We have more from a response from the RTI request. Also, Dumsor hit Parliament on the day power outages dominated the first day of debate of the 2024 State of the Nation address as brothers on the different side, John and Samuel Jinapor, go at each other.
For the past 3 weeks to 4 weeks, they've been shedding load on a daily basis. Light went off yesterday, that is correct. Light went off this afternoon, that is correct. Ghanaians went through inconveniences yesterday, that is correct.
Thank you so much for joining us here on JoyNews Prime. Now, government is faced with a grim task of settling a judgment debt of 950,000 awarded against the state that jammed to over 14 trillion Ghana cedis. Tonight, lawyers of the African Automobile say they are constrained with law or how to execute the court judgment due to the massive amount of the state is expected to pay. Now, at the State of the Nation address, President Akufo-Addo mentioned the Attorney General saved the country from paying over 10 trillion Ghana cedis in judgment debts. Now, Attorney General Godfred Ibuadami, while confirming what his office saved Ghana from paying 10 trillion Ghana cedis in judgment debts, cited the misuse of compound interest by public officers to inflict unnecessary financial hardship on the state. His office subsequently petitioned Parliament to amend the Contract Act to halt the trend. He spoke to my colleague Kojo Yankson.
I have been compelled to get Parliament to enact a law which seeks to amend the Contract Act by which the payment of compound interest is prohibited against the government of Ghana. Because before I assumed the reins as Attorney General, indeed, I observed a trend for various public officers to the process of compound interest actually inflict unnecessary judgment debts against the government of Ghana. So remember the case of NDK against the Attorney General,
yes,
which I again applied to the Supreme Court for another, stating that the sum of 79 million Ghana is paid by the government of Ghana was sufficient and therefore should be declared as full and final payment. And the government was relieved from the obligation of paying the sum of 1.27 billion Ghana cedis. If you remember, the sum in question was a paltry 268,000 Ghana cedis. 268,000 Ghana cedis.
That was the original amount awarded, right?
In 2009 was 268,000 Ghana cedis. But by the process of computation of compound interest, the sum increased to 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. And after an amount of 79 million Ghana cedis had been paid by the government of Ghana, NDK was still pursuing government of Ghana for payment of 1.27 billion Ghana cedis. And I made the application to the Supreme Court that on grounds of equity and what have you, the sum paid by the government of Ghana should be awarded as should be held by the court as having fully satisfied the judgment debt. And that's what actually motivated me to lay before Parliament the Contract Amendment Act. So the process of judgment debt for me had become a conduit for milking the state, had become a conduit for unnecessarily inflicting financial hardships on the state. And some people had more or less permitted it to be an enterprise. And we saw various judgments to the Supreme Court between 2012 and 2016 reflecting such a tendency.
Now, in response to a right to information RTI request filed by JoyNews, the Ministry of Finance disclosed startling figures regarding judgment debt payment made by the government between 2017 and 2020. The document revealed payment made to over 70 individuals and entities, indicating wide distribution of funds among various recipients. Now, among the notable beneficiaries are companies like NDK Financial Services, Vacuum Salt Products, Balkan Energy, and several others. My colleague MFR Apau joins me in studio with a breakdown of payment by this year. But before we go into the breakdown, you've been speaking to Kofi. What has he been saying about this particular issue?
Okay, so we know that Kofi Abochi is one of the representatives or the lawyers for Africa Automobile, one of the cases that we've seen that judgment debt, they started off about 500 billion. That was what was awarded originally, but because of the stretch and then also the accumulation of interest, we're told that now is about 14 trillion. And that issue came up in that interview with my colleague Kojo Yankson that you've been playing over the period. And the Attorney General raised issues about collusion, and either it's to share complexity on the part of some of the officials involved in this matter. Kofi Abuchi has been debunking those claims that at least on the part of his clients, he cannot talk about collusion for that matter, and that the state looked on for the amounts to accrue, and they don't even know how to execute that judgment because of the amounts involved as we speak. 14 trillion is what we are speaking about. We are the IMF for 3 billion. Yeah. So that's the situation. But interesting is I'm glad to hear that Joy News has an RTI response from the Finance Ministry, and the figures are startling. This is a 300.38 million cedis. That's the judgment debt we've paid from 2017 to 2022. Well, the president has been talking about some 10 trillion that the Attorney General has saved. So maybe, if you permit me, I could go through the breakdown for you, Carlos. So 2017, the number of payments are 10, and that comes up to 111.24 million Ghana cedis. And this is Ghana cedis, not the old cedis. Now, in 2018, we've paid 12, and that comes to 153.09 million Ghana cedis, just to 12 entities or individuals. Now, in 2019, we have paid 11 entities, and it comes to 13.96 million Ghana cedis. It looks like that's a bit on the lower side. That's about the lowest. 2022 is 2.8 million. For 2020, maybe we can briefly go back to 2015. We've had 18.91 million. Then 2021, we paid just to 2 persons and or individuals or entities, and it's 57,811. And then 2022, we've been talking about 2.8 million Ghana cedis. And then moving on, the total legal fees and refunds related to judgment that, once they're awarded, they also have to pay the legal fees and refunds related to that particular judgment debt. That comes up to 4.94 million Ghana cedis. That's how much we've paid. So that's for 2017. The amount released is 2.6 million. Then 2017, the same year, we released another 2.6 million. So that's the amounts that we've released regarding the legal fees and refunds related to judgment debt that has been paid over the period. And this is from the Ministry of Finance. If we have more, we can go through it. That's from 2017 to 2019 in terms of judgment debt over the period. So that's the response that we got from the Attorney General, from the Finance Ministry, once we sought to find out how much exactly we've expended, because the President mentioned that we've saved 10 trillion. But it looks like there's more than that. More to
we'll
this
still keep digging.
Hearing. Yes.
Thank you so much, MFA.
Thank you, as always. My pleasure.
Moving on, the intermittent power outages witnessed in recent days dominated the first day of debate of the 2024 State of the Nation Address. On the day, the Chamber of Parliament and the entire House was plunged into total darkness first by doomsday and later by an ECG disconnection exercise. More on that shortly. First, the debate started on family affairs note as John Jinapor and his brother Samuel Jinapor had to go at each other over their respective parties' record in the energy sector. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Sante has the rest of the story.
The debate on the 2024 State of the Nation Address presented by President Akufo-Addo to Parliament has begun in earnest, and the recent power outages has taken center stage. Of course, not without controversy. In fact, Parliament itself got rocked by what has now been popularly known as doomsday. So let's start from the top. Abino Seasare, the Deputy Finance Minister, was arguing on the economy and what she believed the government has really done in terms of changing the fortunes of the country. She again insists that if you look at the way things are going, she believes the president has offered hope to Ghanaians.
Mr. Speaker, as I listened to the president, I felt a great sense of pride. Mr. Speaker, his address showed that in a world fraught with challenges, Ghana continues to show resilience and advance in hope.
Abino Seasare ended on the note of power, and this is where the lights went off in the House.
government had to make a huge commitment to address the IPPs and to make sure that we sustain the lights and not go back to the doomsday days that we were saddled with right before 2017.
Well, the conversation on the power outages became a family affair on the floor. The two brothers on the different sides of the aisle, Samuel Abu Jinapor and John Jinapor, went at each other, criticizing the respective parties for the way they handle the power sector. Samuel Abu Jinapor says, whilst the recent power outages is inconveniencing, it is way better than what was experienced under the NDC.
For the past 3 weeks to 4 weeks, they've been shedding load on a daily basis. Yesterday alone, they shed 530 megawatts. This afternoon, exactly 12 o'clock, the lights went off. That is why people are stuck in the elevator. Yes. And you still have the temerity to tell us that the lights are on. Mr. Speaker, that cannot be the case. Mr. Speaker, for 4 years, the Honorable John Jinapor, Member of Parliament for Yape Kosogo, talks about lights going off yesterday and talks about lights going off this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, lights went off yesterday. That is correct. Lights went off this afternoon. That is correct. Ghanaians went through inconveniences yesterday. That is correct. They will go through inconveniences as a result of lights off this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, that is correct. But Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians certainly do not have a short memory. They do not have a short memory.
Well, the entirety of Parliament was, for a large part of today, disconnected from the national grid. Initially, it was the normal power outages, but at some point, Parliament had to put on its generators because the Electricity Company of Ghana had been on the premise of Parliament to disconnect the entire house because of the 23 million Ghana cedis debt it owes the power distributor. The Deputy Minority Leader, Emmanuel Amakufibua, who was in his office, then walked into the floor to complain about the unbearable heat in the Ghc300 and how so many people were stuck in the elevators.
5th and 6th floor, we have people stuck in it. I just got the fire service to run in there. So it's important we know what is happening around us. The light is off, except for this chamber, and I don't want that to pretend.
Some people are stuck in the lift.
On the 5th and 6th floor. In fact, I just came in because we just got the fire service people to try to get them open the elevator. And it's very serious. And I think this house, before we continue doing business, we must know the crisis we face.
We understand Parliament is making some commitments to pay some part of the debt it owes ECG, but for now it will continue to run on the generators until they are able to reach some amicable settlement with the Electricity Company of Ghana. But back to the State of the Nation address, and I told you early on how Abinah Siasare, the Deputy Finance Minister, started on the note of the economy. The ranking member on Agric and Cocoa Affairs for the minority, Eric Opoku, tried to punch some holes into the arguments that were made by Abinah Siasare.
Every Ghanaian is feeling the heat. Now, the President appeared before this House to present the 2024 State of the Nation address, and he now describes the head of the economic management team as Dr. Digitalization. He's no longer the brilliant economist. He's now transmogrified into another area, digitalization. Meanwhile, Dr. Baumia, throughout his life, has been trained as an economist.
The State of the Nation address debate is going to continue for the next few days in Parliament up until next week, when leadership on both sides of the aisles will conclude the debate and thank the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for the message he has delivered. Obviously, this has turned into a political footballing game where the political parties going at each other, citing their respective economic prowess. But especially with this year being an election year, both parties and the MPs on both sides of the aisle are seizing the opportunity to make it a real campaign issue. And it's going to continue till the leaders conclude the debate next week. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Still on the energy sector, as election 2024 approaches, the current energy situation put pressure mainly on the two major political parties as they prepare their manifestos. On election brief earlier, energy expert and chairman of the NPP Manifesto Committee on Energy and Petroleum, Kojo Nsafwa-Poku, and former Power Minister and MP for Pru East, Dr. Kobina Donko, outlined how their respective parties intend to address the power crisis in their 2024 manifestos. While Dr. Donko is of the view we need a reserve margin when operating power plants, Kojo Poku insists government is at the forefront of paying energy sector debt.
Our committee will be looking at, first of all, the power sector as a subsector of the energy. We'll also be looking at petroleum sector. We'll also be looking at the renewable sector. The renewable space provides some opportunity to ameliorate the cost of fuel. However, we also recognize that there is some amount of redundancy required, and I will not call that excess capacity. In the period while the power is available and which serves as leverage for attracting investment, the power has to be paid for. And that is again where the conversation must go. How do we mainstream the reserve requirement into the national budget so that it is seen as a developmental expense rather than an expense on the on ECG and NETCO? Again, our manifesto will look at the question of efficiency. Is our energy sector efficient? I personally, and this is a personal position, that I believe a 20% efficiency in the cost of operations will go a long way in making our energy sector robust. We have challenges, but our manifesto, when it comes up, will seek to address the challenges as we see them.
What will be very important to us will be what we call the 3 Fs: facility, fuel, and basically, I'll just come back to the last F in a minute. But the facility is basically the IPPs that basically make sure that we are able to now keep the growth going, as he is talking about, looking ahead. Then you have the fuel, which is the gas that you need, because mostly now, about 75% of our generation is from thermal. Then the fund. So the 3F is facility, fuel, and funded. So the third part is to make sure that the finances is available, to make sure that all the two, the facility and the fuel, is available to the Ghanaian public. So we would heavily rally around the 3Fs to make sure that we solve the lasting problem of power crisis.
Now, the Gumua-Fete traditional authorities have issued a 1-month notice to some refugees and squatters at the Budumburam refugee camp in the central region. The traditional authorities say expansion works on the Kaswa-Winneba Road and increase in criminal activities in the area are reasons for the demolition.
A team from the Central Regional Coordinating Council was at the Liberian camp on Thursday to stop further demolition exercise by the Gumua-Fete Traditional Council. More than 200 people, including some recognized refugees, were displaced in the first phase of the demolition, which took place on Tuesday. Budumburam has been a refugee camp for 34 years, but attempts by owners to reclaim their land after voluntary repatriation and integration of the refugees has been met with fierce resistance. Justifying the forceful eviction, a chief of Gumua-Fete, Nana Ibrata, was not happy that the settlement has become a den for criminals.
We've been hearing from newspapers and then on television and here and there. That place has been, let me say, Sodom and Gomorrah, the camp and then the Kaswa. So to reduce these criminal activities, it's also part of it. That will reduce the criminal activity because most of the time people do certain things and then go there and hide themselves over there, which it is very bad. It doesn't speak good well of with an animal of Gumua-Fete and then the entire nation. So that is also part of it. That is the reason why these are two things that we have put together to demolish so that they can find their way.
Oman Krado of Gumua-Fete, Nana Kwesi Kwanza, said the Traditional Council, in agreement with the Central Regional Coordinating Council, has decided to suspend the demolition for months.
The big men have spoken to us, so we are giving the occupants of the land 1 month to move out of the camp. The debris at the demolished area will be collected tomorrow so that the land will be prepared for the onion sellers. Since the chiefs have taken over the land, there is no retreat.
Nana Kwesi Kwanzaa was also concerned about the free consumption of electricity at the camp. The area public school now plays host to the displaced persons. Their leaders say they will not move out of the classrooms anytime soon, insisting the school was built out of their sweat and toil.
Student being affected is not good, but that's the only option we have. Even churches that were supposed to even move, you are broken all these places. And thank God, where we are, it is building that we ourselves built. It's not built by any chief. It's not built by any government. We ourselves built at the refugee school.
How long will you continue living the school?
As long as we don't have a remedy to our problem, we'll continue being there.
Now, the Ghana Refugee Board, which intervened in the demolition exercise yesterday, has begun collecting data on those refugee status for relocation. Now, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Refugee Board, Tete Paddy, said the relocation could be voluntary, adding that the board cannot do much if the refugees are not willing to move out. He joins us now with a live update on the situation. Mr. Paddy, can you confirm if there are refugees actually living in the camp as we speak?
Yes, indeed. There are some refugees living on the camp, or what used to be the camp. In 2012, when the cessation clause was invoked for Liberian refugees, a few of them applied to be exempted, and some of those who applied were successful, and they were exempted from the effects of the cessation clause. And so, yes, we have a few of them, but most of them, the large majority of people at Budubram, including Liberians, are not refugees.
Are you able to paint a picture in terms of the figures? What volume are refugees and those that are not?
Okay, so we have in our database under 600 who are refugees. Not all of these are residents at Budubram. Some of them live outside of Budubram. And so what we're doing is that we're currently collecting data on actual refugees who have been affected. And in a day or two, we should be able to complete that exercise. And our intention is to relocate such persons away from the ground to a refugee camp that we run.
All right. So the victims claim those granted refugee status were not given work permits. Hence, their relocation will be meaningless. How do you react to this concern?
Okay, so they were actually given work permits, but except that the Ghana Immigration Service has standard permits stamps that they issue. Since we encountered these challenges, we have amended it. But what happened was that they indicated on the residence permits that the employer was the Ghana Refugee Board, and clearly Ghana Refugee Board is not the employer. But what we explained to them was that for those who encountered any issues with potential employers, they referred those employers to us, and we explained to them that the Liberians of the former Liberian refugees can't be employed by them, and that it was clearly just a challenge with the formatting of the permits that was given them. And indeed, several of them used those permits to work.
All right. You also talked about relocating to where specifically?
So we have a camp in the Western region. One of our camps, we have two camps in the Western region, but the Ampane refugee camp is where we are relocating them to.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Paddy, for speaking to us here on JoyNews Prime. Now, away from that story, the Kumasi-Accra Highway has not only been a road susceptible to road crashes, but also a stretch for robbery attacks on night travels. A recent video which surfaced on social media revealed how a driver and his passengers in a minibar swiftly escaped an attack at gunpoint on the poorly lit road. With growing security concerns on the stretch, a criminologist with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Jones Opokowari, is proposing an intensive audit of security systems, including CCTV cameras at the commercial bus terminals and in intercity buses to profile passengers embarking on a journey. There's more in the following report.
It's almost midnight and these passengers are heading to Kumasi from Accra, but would soon encounter a near-death robbery attack on the highway.
Go, go, go. Let her go, go. Go. Let her go now, go, go. Jesus.
CCTV footage in the minibus captures suspected robbers, numbering close to 8, running towards the vehicle in an attempt to raid passengers of their belongings. But the driver swiftly reverses the vehicle to escape the scene and puts his passengers to safety. This is one of the many scary robbery incidents that occur regularly on the Kumasi-Accra highway at night. The situation, security experts attribute to the poor illumination on the road and limited police surveillance. Dr. Jones Opokunwari is a criminologist with the Department of Social Work, KNUST.
The brazen nature of these robberies, especially these highway robberies, is what we have to look at. And for me, looking at the nature of our roads, especially which are not very late, most of the time our highways, which are not very late, they make it very easy for people to undertake such kind of operations anytime they really get motivated to do that. So it is something that is very, very, let me say, very normal for me, looking at the way our highways are configured and the kind of, darkness we see on our highways.
Over the last few years, it has become a new normal for many travelers to make their journeys at night. Dr. Jones Opokunwari is suggesting thorough auditing of security systems at lorry terminals and buses to quell robberies on the roads.
I have suggested this to the police some time ago, I think that was last year or last 2 years, that they have to go to the bus terminals and do a proper auditing of all the CCTVs that are there. Okay, especially the VIP area, which is the Asafu area. Okay, remember that the location of especially the VIP bus stop, especially that area, is a highly crime spot. They have to do a proper auditing of the bus terminals, not even the Asafu area alone, but all the bus terminals, because they are generally crime attracted and crime hotspots. Okay, and audit those security systems there and make sure that those who board buses, we can easily have a way to profile them.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
A similar incident, a police escort team in Boku have foiled what could have been a deadly attack on Accra-bound bus carrying passengers from the volatile Upper East region town. Joy News sources say about 10 gunmen lay ambush near a gas filling station close to the Boku Senior High School and fired at the bus, but the police escort team, which was behind, quickly responded and the gunmen took to their heels. No death was recorded, but 3 persons, including a man and 2 women, have been injured and are receiving treatment in hospital. You're still watching JoyNews Prime with me, Carlos Caloni. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now, health authorities in the Ayawaso West Municipality have launched an urgent investigation into the escalating cases of upper respiratory tract infection, which persist as the predominant health concern for the 3rd consecutive year. Now, the agency is compounded by a simultaneous rise in hypertension cases, propelling health officials to swiftly uncover the root cause behind these concerns. Now, my colleague Michael Ashale has more in the following report.
In the Ayawaso West Municipality, a concerning health trend has taken center stage as upper respiratory tract infections continue to surge, claiming the top spot among the 15 leading causes of morbidity for the 3rd consecutive year. In 2023 alone, the municipality recorded a staggering 25,700 cases of URTI, almost doubling the figures from 2021 when 13,300 cases were reported. At an annual review meeting, it emerged that there were more than 172,000 illnesses reported at the various health facilities in the municipality. Principal Health Officer Rosemond Asase gave the breakdown.
It's seen here once again that upper respiratory tract infection is topping in the years that we have been in existence.
Exposure to air pollutants such as fine particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, and ozone has been linked to respiratory illnesses, including URTIs. These pollutants can irritate the respiratory tract, making individuals more susceptible to infections. Additionally, air pollution may weaken the immune system's ability to fight off infections, making individuals more vulnerable to respiratory illnesses.
Other important issues emerging include climate change and issues relating to air pollution. The effects of these, we know, can be devastating to health.
In her address, Dr. Louisa Ademki Mate, the Municipal Health Director, underscored the significance of deteriorating climate conditions and their potential impact on the prevalence of respiratory infections.
We know also the relationship between air pollution and non-communicable diseases such as chronic respiratory diseases like asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and even the cancers.
In recent times, Accra attained the unenviable top spot as the city with the most polluted air. The EPA and the Ghana Health Service both issued separate statements on the impact of the pollution on health. Nonetheless, Dr. Mate, while addressing the issue, refrained from immediately establishing a direct correlation between air pollution and the rising instances of upper respiratory tract infections. She spoke on the sidelines of the event.
As a district, we would this year look into these conditions that we have classified as upper respiratory tract infections, liaise with the facilities and look at how we can segregate the data, take more history from people who come reporting with upper respiratory tract conditions and see how many of them we can relate to other things other than infections.
The area surrounded by busy roads like Tetekwashi Roundabout deals with continuous air pollution from vehicle fumes. Clean Air Fund's census highlights the issue. Desmond Appiah, Clean Air Fund's country director, stressed on the need for investigations and specific policies in the municipality to address the growing health concerns.
Part of the projects that we are running is also putting local census to augment what EPA has, and it gives a good sense of where we need to realize that pollution may be high, and then identify the things that are happening around those areas that may be leading to that pollution, just so you can be able to target your actions. This is where they say the rubber hits the road. In the districts is where the real action happens.
With a total of 32 health facilities, majority being privately owned, the Ayawaso West Municipality is yet to welcome a new government-managed health facility. Municipal Chief Executive Sandra Ahinkra confirms the upcoming addition to enhance healthcare services in the area.
I am therefore happy to inform this forum that our municipality is benefiting from the government Agenda 111 program. This will involve the construction of a 100-bed district hospital at Roman Ridge. Having finally overcome the major obstacle of land, the consultants have been instructed to commence work.
Like the adage goes, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Translating it in relative terms, wearing a nose mask daily acts as a protective shield, keeping health concerns at bay. This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by Clean Air Fund. The funder had no say in the content of the story. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Now, the sighting of the band of women carrying lighted kerosene lanterns on the hot afternoon on the street of Damongo was a talking point for many. This symbolic act attracted diverse interpretations, but to the women, it is their way of echoing what they describe as economic darkness being experienced in Ghana due to economic mismanagement. With their lighted lanterns in the afternoon, they hope to find a rescuer in the form of former President John Dramani Mahama. My colleague Nanaya Ojima toured the Savannah region with the NDC flag bearer and filed this report.
The streets of Damongo were painted in NDC colors in anticipation of a visit by John Mahama, who won the constituency by over 55% votes in the 2020 general elections. The women are among many who made their way to the Jakpa Palace for the first meeting with their lanterns filled with kerosene balanced on their heads, these women presented the lanterns to all event grounds visited by the former president on the day.
We are looking for, because we are in darkness, we are looking for JM. JM is our light. So we are looking for JM in northern region, Savannah region, to come and save us.
Have you found him?
Not yet. We are still looking for JM.
Damango is the regional capital of the Savannah region, carved from the northern region. Access to potable water remains a major challenge of the people in the area. The people here largely rely on supply of water from boreholes and tanks, as others tend to drink from dams in the area. For these challenges, the women carrying lanterns to the town hall engagements claim the regional capital remains in darkness despite the change in status.
We drink water from tanks. We don't have water, no water. What we need is just the water. MPPB promises for water and zero. We are looking for correct education in our Savannah region and regional hospital. If JM, we find JM to come and look for hospital for us and then correct school.
The sentiments of the women were echoed by selected persons who had opportunity to speak at the engagements with the former president seeking re-election. John Mahama speaks of the initiative to find a lasting solution to the water situation under his tenure.
We had a loan, we got money to do the Damango water system. When we took it to Parliament, our friends voted again. They threw it out and said no, they will come and do it. 8 years now, 8 years. Today I hear they are drilling some 2 boreholes there. We have had, NDC did Damango water system with boreholes, but the town has outgrown boreholes. The town needs water to be brought either from the Black Volta or the White Volta to supply enough water to Damango town. And that is what the loan we got. It was supposed to pipe water all the way from the Black Volta.
In 2020, what has become known as skirt and blouse in Ghana's politics manifested in Damango constituency. Though John Mahama won the presidential election at Damango, the then incumbent MP, Adam Mutawakilu, was defeated by NPP's Samuel Jenapo. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Now, in the circle of life, some moments stand out extraordinary. Today, we explore the unique stories of first-time mothers who have welcomed their bundle of joy on the rarest day, 29 February. Joy Prime's Lois Adeyemi was at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital and has more in the following report.
Genevieve is brimming with loads of excitement. Excitement of being a first-time mother.
When I realized I was pregnant, I was so happy. Even my mom, because we wanted a baby. Then it came.
But her joy of being ushered into motherhood is tinged with the anticipation of celebrating her daughter's birthday every 4 years.
Frank, I didn't want her to give birth on 29th because it's actually a leap year which counts every 4 years. God has reasons for everything, that is what I think. Because everybody is celebrating the birthday on a normal day. Then you alone, you celebrate your birthday every 4 years. It's weird.
Abigail yearns for the joy of motherhood. She was due to deliver on 28th of February, but that did not happen. The 29-year-old is eager to welcome her little one on any day except the elusive 29th February.
29th Panday. Hey, I would love to celebrate every year. A memorable year of the pain I went through during this childbearing and everything. I want to experience it all over again every year. And look at the fact that I have to do that every 4 years. I wouldn't feel that feeling. I need to feel it each and every year.
But what if Abigail's baby refuses to be born in March?
Hey!
29.
I'm going to count dates with 20. Hey, because I can't take 29th. Hey, no, shouldn't even say that one, that 29th. Yetra, we go to first match.
Well, for Sharifa, she cared less about the date. The moment she held her baby, all the pain seemed insignificant. Birthdays, leap years, it's all a background noise to the new mother. What matters to her is this little one in her arms.
I was not expecting it, but it happened. And I'm happy with it.
They have to see it as a special day, and they have to recognize it as such and be happy that they have delivered on that special day. And for the kids too, you have to accept it and also be happy that you have been delivered on that day, because it happens every 4 years and it's a special day.
In this maternity ward, new life begins its journey, and each birth, a chapter in a unique story. Whether it is the excitement of a leap year birthday or the joy of a regular celebration, one thing is for sure: motherhood transcends dates and times. Lois Shola Adeyemi's report for Joy Prime.
Did happy moment for this new mother. They deserve this. Now we take